free market. Federal government intervening in private insurance shouldn't be there. Makes the prices go up. Every single thing in terms of the inflation we're going to be facing, which is on the rise, is solely because of the federal government being involved in these areas. A true free market within our country and a true free market, and I oppose NAFTA and the WTO and all that, that's not a free market. But if we have a truly free market, we're going to solve this economic crisis. We in the warfare state, the welfare state, we have more than enough money. The federal government has enough money without stealing your money via the income tax. We abolish the income tax, you're going to have more money to spend on everything. Prices are going to go down in every single area.
As my colleague Michael Jingozian has pointed out, oil prices haven't really changed in relation to gold. What's happened is the value of our dollar has gone down. And this is what we need to deal with. What we've done is allowed our government to spend. And instead of taxing us so that we'd notice that they were spending, instead they inflate the currency. Now if you want to know how much they're inflating the currency, just look at your gas prices. They're going up, and you know the value of your dollar is going down. And the mechanism by which they inflate the currency and borrow money is through the mechanism of the Federal Reserve. And so we need to take the Federal Reserve out of the equation. The way to do that is to go back to a monetary system that is backed by gold or silver or some other commodity. Because that way, when the government spends, they have to tax you and let you know about it. And if they actually let you know about how much of your money they were spending, you probably wouldn't like it. Because today's dollar is worth about 4 cents compared to the dollar back in 1930. 4 cents. Seniors are especially affected by this. The fixed income that they have is literally cut in half in terms of buying power every 8 to 10 years. So if you want to see that change, you need to elect someone who understands just how this works. And so I encourage you to vote Libertarian. Thank you.
When you're at the gas pump and you see your gasoline cost of $3.50 a gallon, keep in mind there's another $4 a gallon. That's what it costs to station troops in 130 countries around the world, and to have 725 military bases around the world to maintain the stability of oil that we're not succeeding in maintaining. That's what the military-industrial complex or American imperialism is costing. We need to get off of oil. And if we really had a national policy to get off of oil, I maintain, and some businessmen tell me that I can't do it, and they're wrong. We could get off of gasoline in this country in 5 years. When I was 11 years old, we built 1 ship a year in this country. When I was 13 years old, we built 1 a week. Plus, we built 100 airplanes a week and 1,000 tanks a week. If we want, and if we had the leadership of this country who wanted to do it, we could do it, and we could do it by the private sector. And here again, it's a cliche, just get the government out of the way, give the people the incentives to do it, and they will do it. Profit is a great motivator, and freedom is an even greater motivator.
Dr. Phillies. The world is changing. We're going to have to change with it. There are plenty of Republicans who say, oh, we could solve the oil problem by drilling in Antarctica or God knows where. There are plenty of people who are saying, oh, look, prices are going up. That must be inflation. Fortunately, there are also, and this is where we're going to benefit a lot as libertarians, millions of Americans who are sick of seeing our country run by people who think the earth is 6,000 years old, getting colder, and it's probably flat, too. We can appeal to the educated Americans who are willing to look at the real issues, and that is how we will advance. Number one, why are prices of oil and such going up? All around the world, 6 billion people taking the advantage of capitalism, even in communist China. And they're competing with us for the same oil supplies. That's not inflation, that's the demand changing, and you can't cure that with by applying inflation cures. Number two, we can do things. Uncle Sam can say, see it on my webpage, choosegeorge.org, we'll switch Uncle Sam over to renewable energy, wind, solar, nuclear, you name it. We'll do other sensible things. We'll have huge cuts in the federal budget, especially the military budget. Hey, Cold War is over. Let's stop leaving troops abroad where they're not doing anything. Bring the boys home, bring the girls home. Turn all of those productive people over to productive uses. We Americans can rise to the challenge, and we will.
Number one, cut government spending. How do you do that? There's something in Congress right now, believe it or not in this Congress, called the Enumerated Powers Act. And what it says very simply is, every single spending bill must prove it is authorized by the Constitution or it isn't funded. That's how you cut spending. Earmarks, get rid of them. Vetoes, the president needs a line item veto. Remember that movie Apocalypse Now? The Major General was on the beach and he said, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Wayne Allen Root, and I love the smell of vetoes in the morning. We've got to cut spending. We've got to cut earmarks. We've got to carve out spending in categories like the Department of Education, which is not mandated by the United States Constitution. The word education is not even mentioned in the Constitution, and yet, under Republican, supposedly small government, George Bush, education spending has gone from $33 billion to $66 billion. Does anyone think we've got twice as good an education system? New studies came out all across America. 50% of our children are failing and dropping out of high school. That's wow, we've spent double on education. We've got to get it to the state and local level. That's what it's all about. And then just yesterday, a new study came out. $290 billion in waste, billion, was found in the defense budget, only studying 85 programs. Do you know the entire American deficit is $160 billion? We can cut the waste alone out of defense spending and take off the entire deficit and have $130 billion left over. That's my economic plan. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Smith, we begin our next set of questions with you. Healthcare remains among the top concerns in our nation. What role should the federal government have in health care of Americans, if any, and what policy changes should be made to maximize access to affordable medical care, medications, and other treatments?
Federal government should be absolutely not involved in health care whatsoever. The FDA is responsible for so many deaths by its very existence. Treatments, alternative treatments, pharmaceuticals the rest of the world has access to, we do not. That's horrible. That is unjust. Medicare, Medicaid, all of these socialistic, quote, health care programs, they're bankrupting our nation. They're no good. They don't give us quality health care, but they sure do feed some bureaucrats sitting up there in their paychecks. I propose in terms of Medicare and Medicaid that we have a cutoff point. Not sure what that age would be. We'd have to talk with economists, but say 55 or 60. Those who are paid into it, passed in, will continue to receive their benefits. Anyone under the given age that we choose would receive all of the money they've been paid in with interest, so they can go to the private market. We need to have a free market in health care, because then we're going to have quality health care and we're going to have low cost. And I would remind everybody that there was a time when we led the world in our health care. And it was a time before Medicare and Medicaid corrupted it. It was a time before the federal government was involved, and you and I took care of those who had less, who may be in poverty, who are suffering. Because we kept the money that we earned, we gave it to the charitable causes we want. I want health freedom for Americans.
The reason that health care is unaffordable today is because the federal government has been involved. And that's why we need to get them out. Let me give you some examples. I'm a pharmaceutical research scientist, and I'm very intimately involved with the regulations that govern pharmaceutical development. I've been able to calculate from numerous studies that are out there for anyone to look at that 80% of our current